Hello, hello, hello! Namaste, Witchlings, and welcome back to the Yoga Witch's Cauldron! It is Samhain, the witch's new year. The season of endings and beginnings all braided together like smoke and shadow. Outside, the air smells like wood smoke and wet leaves, and the world feels both alive and yet dying in the same breath. This is the breath between worlds, the sacred pause, where everything exhales. The leaves surrender their color, the light bows earlier and earlier each night. The air sharpens, whispering secrets only the still-hearted can hear. If you listen closely, though, there's a hum beneath it all. A pulse running through the land, through the bones of the trees, through your own body. It's the same rhythm that has guided witches and seekers for generations. And if you're quiet enough, you can almost hear it saying, "Come home to yourself." This week, as we stand at the turning of the wheel, we step into the integration phase of our sacred spiral. It's the moment when everything we've shed, everything we've learned, and everything we've reclaimed begins to weave itself together into something whole. And our Sanskrit word for this week was, the anchor for this turning was Sankalpa. Sankalpa means intention born of the heart. But here's the thing. Sankalpa isn't just a goal or a resolution. It's not a bullet point on your to-do list or a mantra to memorize and then forget. A Sankalpa is a vow, a sacred commitment between your soul and the universe. It's the deep, quiet moment when something deep inside you whispers, "This is who I am becoming." So, tonight, we stir the cauldron together. We reflect on what we've released, what we've reclaimed, and what we are ready to integrate. Because Samhain, this turning, is not just about death. It's about digestion. It's about taking what's been lost or burned or broken and brewing it down into wisdom. That's the magic of this season. Samhain invites us into the sacred stillness that follows transformation. We've done the work of release, the shedding, the burning, the letting go. And now it's time to gather the ashes, to sift through them gently and ask, what remains? What still holds truth? What parts of me are ready to rise from this? Because every ending is an offering. Every shadow carries a seed. And the dark, as our ancestors knew, is not our enemy. It's the womb of everything waiting to be born. Integration is the art of staying, of not rushing toward the light just yet, but learning to sit at the edge of the dark and listen. It's uncomfortable sometimes, the stillness, the uncertainty, the absolute ache of being between who you were and who you're becoming. But this is where the alchemy begins. This is where Sankalpa takes root. Think of it as a seed planted in the heart. You don't force it to sprout. You tend it with breath, with presence, with patience. You trust the unseen work happening beneath the surface. Because before anything can bloom, it has to take root. And rooting always happens in the dark. In witchcraft, the cauldron is the vessel of transformation. It's where herbs become medicine, where chaos becomes creation, where prayers become spells. In yoga, that cauldron lives in your belly, in your Manipura chakra, the solar plexus, the seat of your personal power. Your inner fire, Agni, transforms experience into wisdom, nourishment, and light. So whether you call it cauldron or core, Sankalpa or soul promise, it's all the same magic. The same sacred chemistry of becoming. It is the holy act of saying, this is who I choose to be, even when the world around you trembles. This Samhain, I invite you to treat your heart like that cauldron. Ask yourself, what are you ready to integrate? Not fix, not erase, integrate. What stories still haunt your bones that might actually be trying to teach you? What grief could become compassion if you stopped apologizing for feeling it? What fear could become fuel if you let it burn clean? You don't have to have the answers tonight. You don't even need to ask the perfect questions. Just stir the pot. Sit in the warmth of your own becoming. Let the ingredients of your life, the joy, the pain, the memory, the desire, mix freely. The witch's cauldron doesn't demand control. It asks for presence. It asks for trust. It asks for you to show up messy, honest, and whole. That right there is the real magic. That's the real yoga. Take a breath with me and inhale, filling your heart with warmth, with courage, with the knowing that you have survived every ending that ever tried to break you. Exhale, soften your resistance. Let the armor fall away. Let the breath carry out everything that no longer serves this version of you. The old stories, the doubts, the smallness. Now, whisper to yourself softly, like a spell, my Sankalpa is sacred. I honor the darkness that made me. I trust the light I'm becoming. And hold that. Let it echo through your bones. Let it hum through the chambers of your heart like a song you've always known. That vibration, that's the sound of your becoming. That's the quiet roar of your soul saying yes. And that, Witchlings, is integration, that sacred harmony between shadow and soul. It's not about perfection, it's about wholeness. Here at the threshold of the year, in this breath between worlds, remember, you are both the cauldron and the flame. You are both the witch and the spell. You are the bridge between what was and what will be. And as we cross this threshold together tonight, may your Sankalpa, your heart's vow, light the way forward. When the wheel turns, my witchlings, it doesn't ask for permission. It just moves. Slow, sure, eternal. No matter how hard we cling to what was, it carries us forward. Samhain is the spoke on that wheel where life and death touch hands, where the old year exhales and the new year hasn't yet drawn breath, We stand suspended in the still point, that exquisite, impossible balance between what has been and what will be. The ancestors knew this moment well. They felt it in their bones, in the way the night stretched long and the earth folded inward to rest. They built fires to call the sun home again, to guide their beloved dead back through the veil. And they understood that to honor the dead was to honor the cycle itself, the unbroken rhythm of becoming, dissolving, returning, becoming again. Every Samhain, I feel them near. Not just the ones with names and stories, but the quiet ones. The forgotten women who kept their wisdom hidden in songs and soup pots. The men who carried tenderness in calloused hands and silence. The children who never got to grow old, but still whisper laughter through the wind. They are all part of my lineage. And yours too. Because lineage isn't just blood. It's energy, it's resonance, it's every soul that ever taught you how to survive or how to love, whether you knew their name or not. I remember my first real Samhain. Not necessarily the date, but the feeling of it. I was 21-ish, brand new mom, raw and severely sleep deprived, still trying to figure out who I was becoming. That Ostara, I had lost my grandfather, the one person who loved me without condition, who saw every spark of who I could be and believed in me with his whole heart. By Samhain, I was clinging hard to his memory. I mean hard, and even harder to the version of myself that he believed in. I didn't know how to let go. Not of him. Just not of that certainty. And so I carried it like a stone in my chest, pretending strength while grief made a quiet home behind my ribs. And it wasn't until the turning of the year, the new year that followed, that I finally broke open and lost it. I lie in bed one night, visiting where my grandparents lived, and just bawled until my body trembled, and grieving not just the man I'd lost, but that safety of being loved unconditionally. And it was the first time I realized that to honor the dead, I had to allow myself to feel the death, to let the sorrow move through me so his love could move with me. That was my initiation into Samhain. Not a ritual in a circle, but a reckoning in the dark. The moment that I understood that grief and love are the same spell, just cast in different light. The wheel turns, and it asks us to release what no longer serves, but also to remember what still anchors us. Because honestly, if we forget where we came from, we forget who we are. And if we forget who we are, we lose the thread of our becoming. That's why we call the ancestors back, not to dwell in the past, but to be reminded of our resilience. They survived famine, war, exile, heartbreak, persecution, and yet here we are. Their breath still moves through us. Their stories live in our skin. Their courage beats in our hearts. I want you to close your eyes, my witchlings, if you can, and feel the drum as the pulse of the earth itself. Imagine the spiral beneath your feet, that ancient pattern that carries you forward and back again and again. And with every beat, whisper softly, I remember, I release, I return. Each phrase is a breath. Each breath is a bridge between worlds. When we remember, we reclaim our power. When we release, we make space for becoming. When we return, we root ourselves in the truth that nothing is ever truly lost. Integration lives here too, in this remembering. Because to integrate, you must gather the fragments of your own story. The pieces you've buried out of shame, the ones you've left behind out of fear, the ones you thought you didn't deserve to keep. Samhain asks you to gather them like fallen leaves and bring them back to the hearth of your heart. You don't have to polish them. You don't have to explain them. You just have to hold them and say, you belong. That's what the ancestors teach us, that every piece of us belongs. The brave ones, the broken ones, the shadowed and the shining, all of it, all of you. The wheel turns. The year begins again, but not as before, because you are not as before. Each turn changes you subtly, irrevocably, and what you carry into this new cycle is shaped by what you choose to honor tonight. So light a candle if you haven't already. Watch the flame. That flicker, that's the soul remembering its purpose. That's your Sankalpa glowing in the darkness. Let it remind you that even in endings, there's always a little spark of beginning. Even in death, there's always a breath of life waiting to rise. Even in the silence, there's always a song. Take a breath with me. Inhale, feel the breath of your ancestors filling your lungs. The same air they once breathed, the same stardust that shaped their bones. Exhale, offer them gratitude. Whisper their names or their essence or simply the words, thank you. Let your breath be the bridge between the worlds, because it is. It always has been. As we honor them tonight, those who came before and those who will come after, remember that you are also someone's ancestor in the making. I'm going to say that one again because that bears repeating. You are also someone's ancestor in the making. What you heal now, they won't have to. What you love now, they will inherit as light. The wheel keeps turning, witchlings, always. And you, my radiant soul, are turning with it, shining at the center, the still point in the spiral, breathing the rhythm of eternity. Sip. Here's the thing, witchlings. The veil isn't just thin between our world and the spirit realm. Our world, the veil is thin between you and you. Between the self you show and the one that hides. This is the real magic of Samhain. Not just honoring the dead, but facing the parts of ourselves that we've buried along the way. The regrets, the fears, the versions of us that didn't survive the growing up, or the heartbreak, or the disappointment. We call it shadow work now, but our ancestors just called it wintering. They knew there were seasons for everything, even for our own darkness. So they let the fields rest. They let the body rest, and they let the soul do what it must in the dark. Integrate. Because that's what the shadow is. Not the enemy, not the villain, but the part of you that has been waiting for permission to come home. I have met my shadow so many times over the years. Usually when life has stripped away all of my distractions and I had absolutely no choice but to listen. Sometimes she came as grief. Sometimes as rage. Sometimes as silence so heavy it felt like drowning. But each and every time, she came bearing truth. Not easy truth, not gentle truth, but holy truth. Because the shadow's job isn't to destroy you, it's to make you whole. When you walk with your shadow, you start to see how much of your light was born there. Your compassion, your wisdom, your strength, all of it. Forged in the moments that you thought you weren't going to make it through. Shadow work isn't about fixing yourself. It's about remembering that you were never broken to start with. Let's take a moment here. If it's safe to do so, close your eyes and bring your hands to your heart. Feel that pulse. Steady. Constant, alive. That's you. That's your fire still burning. And now, in your mind's eye, imagine your shadow sitting across from you. Not as a monster, not as a wound, but as a younger version of yourself, weary from carrying so much. Look at her, or him, or them, and say softly, I see you. I remember you. I forgive you. Watch what happens. Maybe there's a softening. Maybe there are some tears. Maybe there's nothing yet, but that's okay too. The shadow unfolds on their own timeline, not yours. In yoga, we call this practice Svadhyaya, self-study. It's a sacred reflection. It's one of the niyamas, the daily disciplines of a spiritual life. It's not about judgment, it's about awareness. When you study yourself with compassion instead of criticism, the shadow stops being the enemy. She becomes your teacher. She shows you where the light is trying to get in. Integration, then, is not about slaying the shadow. It's about inviting them to sit beside the light, to let them share a cup of tea or coffee in your heart, and finally learn each other's language. Samhain energy makes this easier and harder. The veil thins, emotions rise, dreams sharpen. You might find yourself remembering things that you thought were long buried. Old wounds, old fears, even some old hopes. Don't turn away. They're surfacing because you finally have the strength to meet them. If your heart aches, that's a sign that you're alive. If your tears fall, that's proof that your soul is thawing. And if your breath trembles, that's just your energy rearranging itself into something truer. Let's take a couple of breaths together here. Inhale, draw light into the heart, the kind that illuminates gently, not harshly. Exhale, release the stories that keep you from loving who you are right now. Again, inhale, whispering, I am whole. Exhale, whispering, even here. Remember, Witchling, you cannot integrate what you refuse to see. But you also don't have to do it all at once. This work is cyclical, just like the wheel itself. You're going to return to the same wounds many times, over and over, and each time with a little more grace, a little more wisdom, a little less fear. That right there is what it means to live in alignment with the spiral. Not perfection, but participation. You keep showing up. You keep turning toward the truth. You keep choosing love even when the dark whispers otherwise. There's an old saying in the craft. What's hidden in shadow will grow roots or rot, depending on how you tend it. So, tend yours well. Give it warmth. Give it breath. Give it the same care you'd give a seed in winter, knowing that come spring, it will bloom. That is the work of integration. That is the path of Sankalpa. And that, my darlings, is the promise of Samhain, that no part of you is too dark to be loved back into light. So as we sit here, halfway between worlds, halfway between breaths, may you remember, your shadow is not your shame. She is your story. He is your power, wrapped in mystery, waiting to be reclaimed. Light a candle for them tonight. Name them gently and thank them for carrying the parts of you that were too sacred to show. In this space between dark and dawn, whisper one more time, my Sankalpa is sacred. I honor the darkness that made me. I trust the light I'm becoming. Let those words settle into the marrow of your being. Let them rise like embers, warm, steady, alive. You are doing the work, my witchling, and that, right now, is more than enough. Now that we've walked through the dark and met the shadow, Now that we walked through the dark and met the shadow, we step into the sacred work of transformation, the alchemy of intention, because that's what Sankalpa really is, alchemy. Not the turning of lead into gold, not that kind of alchemy, but the turning of awareness into action. The transformation of truth into purpose, of insight into embodiment. Sankalpa begins in the heart, not the mind. The mind sets goals. The heart sets direction. The mind says, I want to achieve, and the heart whispers, I want to become. When you plant your Sankalpa in the heart, you align your entire being with your soul's rhythm. You stop chasing, you start allowing, and that shift from force to flow is where the magic lives. Ooh, tickle. In the yogic tradition, we speak of Agni, the inner fire that digests not only our food, but our experience. It burns away what no longer serves and transforms what remains into energy and insight. When your Sankalpa rises from this fire, it carries the essence of your truth, purified, potent, and alive. In witchcraft, we might call that same process transmutation. It's the cauldron bubbling on the altar, the spell sealed with breath and flame. You bring the raw ingredients of your life, fear, hope, memory, desire, and through heat, through intention, through love, you create something new. That's the heart of integration. Not just understanding what has changed, but choosing how to embody it. How to live differently now that you know more of yourself. Every spell, every Sankalpa begins with awareness. You look at what is, you name it, you claim it, and then you choose. Choice is sacred. To choose with awareness is to declare to the universe, I am ready to co-create. So let's explore how to craft your Sankalpa, my witchling, not as a wish, but as a vow. First, listen. Before you write anything down, before you light a candle or speak a word, listen. Sit with your breath, your heartbeat, your body's quiet knowing. Ask, what truth is rising? Don't chase an answer. Receive it. Second, simplify. Sankalpa is not a paragraph. It's a pulse. It might sound like, I am grounded in love. I create with courage. I trust the unfolding of my path. I am me. I am okay. The key is resonance. When you speak your Sankalpa, your body should hum in recognition. Third, embody. Say your Sankalpa aloud. Feel it vibrate through your chest. Notice how it moves. Does it expand, tighten, shimmer? If it expands, it's true. If it contracts, adjust it until it breathes with you. In Yoga Nidra Asana, we often repeat the Sankalpa at the beginning and the end of the practice. Why? Because that liminal space between waking and dreaming is where the subconscious listens most closely. When you plant intention there, it roots deep, bypassing doubt. In the craft, we'd call that charging a spell. You speak the words when the veil between the worlds or between the mind and soul is thin. You infuse them with breath, belief, and energy, and you seal them with trust. Here's the part we often forget, though. The universe doesn't respond to words alone. It responds to alignment. Your Sankalpa becomes magic when your actions and your energy harmonize with it. If your Sankalpa is, I live with peace, then practice peace in how you drive, how you speak, how you rest. If it's, I create with courage, then let courage guide even the small choices, the email, the boundary, the first brush stroke. That's how intention becomes incarnation. Sankalpa is not a command to the universe. It is a conversation with it. It says, I'm listening, I'm ready, I am willing to meet you halfway. And every time you breathe that vow, every time you live one moment in alignment with it, you feed it energy. And the universe, generous as always, mirrors it back 100-fold. Remember this. True alchemy takes time. A spell doesn't finish when the candle burns out. A Sankalpa doesn't bloom the day you plant it. The fire within the cauldron burns slow and steady. Patience is part of the spell. Trust the simmer. Let your Sankalpa steep in your daily life. Return to it often. Whisper it when you wake. Breathe it before you sleep. Embody it when you walk through the world. All right. If it is safe to, take a moment now and close your eyes. Bring your hand to your solar plexus, your inner cauldron, your Manipura chakra. Feel the warmth there. Subtle, but steady. Inhale, drawing energy up from the earth, golden and glowing. Exhale, feed that light into your Sankalpa. Do it again. Inhale, receive. Exhale, give. Each breath fans the flame of your intention. Each heartbeat affirms, I am becoming. This is the alchemy of integration, when the lessons of the shadow meet the light of awareness and transform into wisdom. When you stop fighting your past and start collaborating with it. When your own story becomes the spell that heals you. Witchling, my darling, you are both the alchemist and the gold, the spell and the caster, the dream and the dreamer. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Keep tending the fire. Keep trusting the process. And as the flames dance low and the night deepens around you, whisper one more time, my Sankalpa is sacred. I honor the darkness that made me. I trust the light I'm becoming. So here we are, witchlings, standing on the other side of the flame. We've met the shadow. We've remembered our ancestors. We've shaped our Sankalpa. And now, we live it. This is where the magic gets quiet and real. Because integration isn't about rituals or revelations, it's about rhythm. It's how you choose to breathe, to move, to speak, to show up. It's the invisible practice that happens when no one's watching. The cauldron, after all, doesn't just transform what's inside. It radiates heat outward. That's how becoming works too. All the inner work, all the reflection, all the surrender, it changes your frequency. And people can feel it. You start to live your truth instead of reciting it. Integration does not look like perfection. It looks like choosing peace over old patterns. It looks like pausing before you react. It looks like resting without guilt, speaking boundaries without apology, and forgiving yourself without condition. That's the alchemy of becoming, my witchling, when your healing starts to spill out into the world around you. We talk a lot about spells in this community. We talk about herbs, candles, crystals, timing, and I love all of that. But the most powerful spell you will ever cast is your life. Every choice you make is an incantation. Every action is a sigil written in motion. Every breath, a prayer. When you live in alignment with your Sankalpa, you become a walking ritual. You stop chasing magic and start being it. Here's the paradox of becoming. It's not about arriving somewhere new. It's about returning to the truth that was always there. Integration doesn't add anything to you. It strips away everything that isn't yours. What remains is authentic, raw, radiant. You know those moments when you catch yourself laughing, really, really laughing, and realize you haven't felt that open in years. Or when you walk outside and the air feels thick with memory, and suddenly you feel the world loving you back. That's integration in motion. That is your soul catching up to your body and saying, yes, we're here. We made it. For me, integration often feels like the small, holy moments. Drinking coffee while the sky lightens. Sitting in the backyard with the dogs, watching them chase wind instead of purpose. Letting the to-do list wait while I listen to my heartbeat and remember I'm still breathing. That's where magic lives. Not in the dramatic or the distant, but in the ordinary, when you finally recognize it as divine. Yoga teaches us that enlightenment isn't something we attain, it's something we remember. You already are what you are seeking. The journey just helps us remember to live it, or remember how to live it. The cauldron symbolically represents completion, but not an ending. It's the vessel that holds everything that's been transformed. And after Samhain, we don't discard it. We carry it forward. That's what this time of year is for. Not starting over, but moving forward with wisdom. You don't need to erase the past to grow. You just need to digest it. Let what you've learned sink deep into your bones. Let it nourish the choices that come next. Let it whisper like your decisions. Let me say that again. Let it nourish the choices that come next. Let it whisper through your decisions like ancestral guidance. You might notice in the weeks after Samhain that things shift subtly. Old habits feel heavier. Conversations ask for more honesty. Opportunities appear where before there were walls. That's not coincidence. That is integration unfolding. That is your Sankalpa working quietly beneath the surface, rearranging your life to match your vibration. So pay attention to the little synchronicities, the songs that repeat, the strangers who say exactly what you needed to hear, the doors that open, and the ones that close. Each one is a mirror. Each is magic, confirming that your vow has been heard. Sometimes integration also means grief. Because when we evolve, some things just can't come with us. Certain relationships, certain versions of ourselves. Letting them fall away isn't failure. It's fidelity to your becoming. Think of it like pruning a rose bush. It looks harsh, but it's how the next bloom is made possible. So, if something falls away after the sowing, bless it. Thank it for what it taught you, and then let it go with love. Witchlings, becoming isn't an event, it's a conversation. Each day, you speak your Sankalpa again with your choices. Every morning, you wake up and decide how to live your truth in a world that keeps asking you to forget it. And that's the work. That's the devotion. That's the magic. You will fall out of alignment sometimes. You will forget your Sankalpa. You'll get tired, distracted, human, and that's okay. Every spiral includes its descent. The key is to come back gently and without shame. To remember that every moment is another chance to live your vow. Take this truth into your next dawn. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming, and becoming takes time. This is the cauldron of your life, always simmering, always transforming, always teaching you how to love more deeply. Your task is simple. Keep stirring. Keep showing up. Keep tending the fire of your own becoming. And when you forget, as all of us do, come back to this breath, this moment, this knowing. My Sankalpa is sacred. I honor the darkness that made me. I trust the light I'm becoming. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you that every breath is a spell and every heartbeat is a drum calling you home. At some point, every spell, every season, every cycle reaches its still point. That pause between inhale and exhale, where everything simply is. That's where we are now, Witchlings. The integration breath, the quiet after the fire, the space where knowing becomes being. If you've ever watched smoke rise from a dying flame, you've seen what this moment feels like. There's no urgency, there's no more release, just movement. Soft, upward, inevitable. The energy shifts from doing to being, from effort to embodiment. This is what yoga teaches us as well. After the final asana, there's shavasana, the stillness that allows the practice to settle into the body. That's what integration is for the soul. It's shavasana for the spirit. We don't have to think about it. We just have to allow it. Because true change doesn't happen in the chaos. It happens in the calm that follows, when we give ourselves permission to rest and trust that the work has already been done. For most of my life, I thought integration meant doing more. I thought healing was a task, transformation a checklist. But I've learned that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is just stop trying. Because the soul doesn't need micromanaging. It needs space. So, if you're tired, if your body aches from the emotional weight of the year, if your mind keeps spinning through what's next, this is your permission to pause, to stop searching for signs and just feel the pulse of life moving through you. The integration breath is not a ritual you perform. It's the natural rhythm of your becoming. Inhaling, you take in experience, sensation, and story. Exhaling, you release meaning, wisdom, and understanding. Each breath refines you. Each breath rewrites you. That's what Sankalpa lives on, not just words, but breath. Because breath is the first promise we ever made to life. The inhale that says, I'm here. The exhale that says, I trust. Speaking of inhaling, when I was younger, I thought that breath work was just a tool for focus. Now, I know it's communion. Each breath is a love letter to the universe, and the universe always writes back. It answers in synchronicities, in sensations, in soft intuition. That's how integration speaks, not in thunder, but in whispers, not in fireworks, but in warmth. Not in grand revelation, but in quiet, persistent truth. So, What does integration look like now, here, for you? Well, maybe it's forgiveness of yourself, of someone else, of a past version of you that was just doing their best. Maybe it's rest, real rest, the kind where you stop earning your worth and simply exist. Maybe it's joy, small, human joy, the kind that sneaks up and reminds you that you're still capable of lightness. Whatever it is, let it be enough. Let it be holy. Sankalpa doesn't demand effort. It invites alignment. When you live in alignment, you breathe easier. You stop swimming upstream against your own truth. You float, carried by the current of your dharma. That's integration, not destination, direction. A compass that always points back home. Remember, my friends, even when you forget your practice, even when you falter or lose your way, your Sankalpa doesn't disappear. It waits, quietly beneath the surface, ready to rekindle the moment you return to yourself. Because this vow, this intention, isn't about perfection. It's about relationship between your soul and the divine. And every relationship needs space to breathe. This is the breath of integration. The one that connects endings to beginnings, death to rebirth, Samhain to the next turning of the wheel. It's the exhale that clears the way for the next inhale of becoming. So, rest here for just a moment, Witchling. Let the stillness hold you. Let your Sankalpa hum quietly in the background of your being. You don't need to do anything more tonight. You just need to be. Because that's the truth of the spiral, my friends. You don't have to chase enlightenment. You just have to stay awake to the life you're already living. Breathe in awareness. Breathe out gratitude. Breathe in trust. Breathe out surrender. This is the integration breath. The living pulse of your magic, your Sankalpa, your becoming. And as you rest in this breath, remember, you are not what you've released. You are not what you've lost. You are what remains. You are what endures. You are what continues to rise. I will leave you with this blessing. May your breath be soft, your shoulders unburdened, your heart open. May peace find you in stillness, and may love, pure, patient, and wild, find its way back to you. As you walk through the rest of your day, may you carry this calm within you, a gentle reminder that you are whole, you are worthy, and you are always becoming. Go out now and spread love, joy, and kindness. There's already enough darkness and hate. Please, let's try to be beacons of hope and light for those lost in the dark. Tell your loved ones whether they walk on two legs, fly with wings, curl up with fur, glide with scales, or tiptoe on tiny paws and claws, that they are precious to you. Moments slip away faster than we expect, and those last goodbyes often come far too soon. And please, 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 my witchlings, always, always remember, you are loved, you are wanted, you are needed, and your purpose here is real, even if you have yet to discover it. I love you all to bits, my dears. Namaste, witchlings.